Hi everybody. When I heard that In Exile Entertainment was going to release Wasteland 2, I decided to take a little trip back down memory lane and play the original title that I had played on the Commodore 64. Or in this case, about as easily as I can get without actually owning a Commodore 64. There's a few quirks with the disc images, and no doubt the quality of the audio, seeing as all I happen to have is a borrowed webcam. I'll also attempt to keep the commentary meaningful, but also minimal. Kind of like how before the first bomb hits, your radiation meter just skyrockets. Well, those graphics are just cutting edge, but I still like them. We're going to be doing a fair bit of headbutting with the disc images, but the game does. I have managed to get the game to work thus far, so we'll see how well this works out. Yay, and we're rolling. In some ways, one of the things I really do like about this game is that the mechanics are simply awesome. There might have been a little bit too much in terms of skills and attributes, but just the way you could play this game, your skills would automatically improve through usage, which I thought was one of the best things ever. You give it enough time, and your character will improve. Now we're loading all this into 64 whole kilobytes of memory. Once we're there, I'll put the default party back on retainer and generate my own party. And although there are a few items I could stand to move before I deleted them all, it's not like I can't get any of this stuff later. I also wanted to generate a party and show basically the skill mechanic, or the mechanics of character generation. It's very old school. It looks like you roll a dice 3 or 4 times and take a certain average of those scores. You can still wind up with some pretty horrendous ones, however. In most cases, what I'm looking for is a decent IQ and a decent agility. There are some other things which will come in handy, like strength. Dexterity, not so much unless you're getting into the skills like lockpicking or bomb disarm. At least I think. And for a change, because I always had stock names every time I played this game, this one was going to be Billy Jacobs before I decided, I think I'll go with something else for a change. And here I am fighting with myself, wondering, oh, generate a name. Now what happens is at about 7 minutes 45 seconds through this, the the capture stops. So I was only able to capture the generation of one character. And as you can see, I'm going through the skills I remember to be useful. In some cases, I do pick skills I really shouldn't have, like, say, clip pistol, because anyone who's played this game more than once knows exactly what submachine guns and the assault rifles are hiding, but I'm going to attempt to throw a little bit of legitimacy into this. Now, characters with high intelligence also get a large number of skill points, so I can potentially pick up skills later. I'm definitely going to drop some in some of your basic skills, like brawling, which gives me a certain number of melee attacks, climbing, swimming, perception. And there's my first character. In this case, I have 2 Americans, an Aboriginal, and a Russian. Typically, when I played this game, I'd always have around 2 medics and 1 character with high charisma who would choose the skill Confidence. Now I'm rolling for this one. I think I was going to call her Angela Death, but I kind of felt bad for stealing the name, so I just decided to drop her last name. Actually, I think I've got an American, a Mexican, an Indian, and a Russian. And the capture's gonna cut out about here. So after a little bit of a break, I decided to start another capture just where I get out of the Ranger Center. So here I am wandering the desert. I'm going to show off my party very briefly. Now, as I mentioned once or twice before, the perk to setting myself up here with base 1 in brawling, clip pistol, assault rifle, and submachine gun is that I get those skills, if I use them enough, will improve on their own. There are certain other places where you can test out your skills practically infinitely and boost them up without having to do much more than just kind of try the same thing over and over and over again. I suppose in a way that's showing the game is broken, but at the same time it certainly felt that all you had to do was just put enough time into a skill, because to get it from level 1 to level 2 is insane. To get it past there is a whole lot easier. Once you're swinging an axe at twice around, you'll find that it's a whole lot easier to get to 3 than it is from 1 to 2. So I'm going to stop at that first building, which is High Pool. Here we are fighting with the disk images again. In this spot, it's difficult to get into a fight. And it also provides a few easy-to-do quests to promote my to get me started. I'm going to spend a little bit of time wandering here and to a place where I'm going to grind my brawling. Yeah, here we go. I am in the settlement of Highpool. As you can tell, Interplay certainly didn't follow in the footsteps of other successful RPGs, namely Ultima. So I'm going to do a little bit of wandering around. The infirmary where I can heal up. It's a store, just generic place, and oh, am I going? Yes, I'm going to try to break in. I'm gonna B&E Camp Highpool's storage room. By first starting out by using the wrong skill. Now, it looks like my next stop should be the Rail Nomads. And this was indeed an old summer camp. So I think I thought I was pretty much done here. So we're going to leave Highpool and we're going to go to the next location. The Agricultural Center. Now, in order to save disk space, a lot of the text was included in a little manual that came with the game. The one thing it does is it serves as a form of copy protection, because you'll be wandering around the game wondering what these people are saying, and sometimes they may be giving you clues. Like here, paragraph 56, the farmers are having a lot of trouble with the fact mutant rodents are cutting down on their harvests, and a fellow by the name of Miguel is gonna get you to fix the problem by killing all of the rodents. And if possible, their leader. Now, many of these creatures happen to have redundant sprites, and they're all animated in their own interesting ways. One of the things we'd kind of get used to, as opposed to having pretty 3D models. So I'm going to spend some time wandering around in this patch. I'm going to watch out for one particular spot, because the boss of that game is the boss of the game in this area is a little bit more dangerous than, is a little bit probably outclassing my character by a bit too much, and I'm going to just spend my time grinding up so I can deal with the threat better. Now, in this area, aside from the boss, there's practically nothing that can actually kill my party. You've got 5 or 6 states of unconsciousness before you're actually dead. And in this case, I can't be seriously wounded, so I'm just going to spend my time. I'm going to whack as much stuff as I can with a crowbar, get my brawling up, and then move on. Now, to be honest, what I'm doing here is I'm just looking for opportunities to get Tanya's lockpicking skill to a decent level. And I didn't know that pressing the tilde on my keyboard is the same thing as pressing the escape key on a Commodore 64. So here I am trying hard to just say, no, I'm going to leave that stuff there. I'm going to practice an ethic, but I can't go anywhere, so I'm just going to snitch it. And I'm going to pick my... No, I'm going to pick my way. I'm going to lockpick everything. Later on, that'll open up as a store. I realize I'm going to go back to High Pool. Believe it or not, that guy is actually capable of dealing me some death. At least ways at this point. Later on, when I equip my character, when I've got proper equipment, yeah, there's no way he can hurt me then, but right now, I'm actually vulnerable. If I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna try doing some looking around to see if I can't find an item or two. So, Jackie, Bobby's dog, caves, all those actually do. So, oh, there's my text clues for Bobby down there in the corner. Now, there are times where you can use an attribute, but in this case I was actually looking for a skill. If you'll bear with me, I'll fidget through it trying to figure out what I'm trying to do. I have played this on DOS a little more recently, but I've got really good memories of the sound not being PC speaker quality, and some of the graphics were actually nicer in the Commodore 64 version, in spite of the fact that you usually blended 3 pixels together to create a different color. And here I'm using one of the all-purpose skills, Perception, to kind of boost my, try to boost my understanding of something. Oh, great. Until I discovered the tilde key, I was stuck here trying to figure out how I could get out of this stupid menu. There we go, I just discovered the tilde key. There we go. The first rule of old school adventure games: pick up anything that isn't nailed down. If it can be pried up, it isn't nailed down. course, I will be using the funds for the betterment of high pools, so I suppose it can be justified in this case. As much as I'd like to stick to another ethic, much as I'd like to stick to nice, pure, exemplary ethics, I'm having a tough time starting out. And once I get past this spot, well, I should be able to be a little more honorable, but for the time being, I'm going to have to do what I can to level a playing field. So I'm going to return, thinking I could either buy a motor here, or I could just grind on rodents until I've got myself up to a goodly level. Oh look, locked doors. Why don't they give me trouble? As I said before, I can be in this case. There's nothing here that can actually put me in a declining state of health. Unconscious is the 10 hit points of grace, and after that, my health will steadily deteriorate until I'm dead, unless the medic gets in there and bandages me, which I need a skill for. Now, in this case, there is also an overhead map, and it was a graduation for Bard's Tale because you could actually kind of picture where your opponents were and what they were doing, rather than having to stress that imagination like we did in Bard's Tale. And actually, it was Bard's Tale that was doing the whole textual entire party's unconscious. And then I wake up. I have them snap me again. Look, another door. I'm probably going to put a little bit more in my intelligence to gain a couple of skill points, and what I may do is I may buff a couple of skills. Club's a nice upgrade from the crowbar or the knife. In fact, there's a skill knife fighting, but in my humble opinion, you wind up with some really nasty melee weapons that do excellent damage, and they aren't knives. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build my brawling to buff up my base number of attacks. Now, because I happen to be running with one character unconscious, I'm going to attempt to find a way to heal him up and come back here. Looks like I'm not going to be cut much slack, though, because they aren't going to show me any mercy. Now, the perk is, if I do happen to finish the quest, I can get access to the rewards of this area. As tempting as that is, I know that I could wind up being mopped up by the boss of this area, so I'm just gonna slack off and just work on getting my brawling up to level 2. That looks like it, folks, so I'll be back later with part 2.